Hey, Kevin here, top wanted financial advisor, two-time author, one-time bestseller. We are here to talk about the stock market. I want to take the time to answer a question I get all the time, and that is, what is a good amount to start investing? Whether I'm doing a webinar, which I am doing a class next week, sign up. That's buildingword.com/summit. Tickets are almost out. But aside from that, how much is a good amount to start? Actually, this person asked 3 questions on public. So how much is a good amount to actually put in an investment? How do you know when to sell, and when's a good time to add more? So I'm going to attack all 3 of these. It's actually pretty easy one because some of these things we talk about pretty often. So we'll start with number 1. We'll work from there. So number 1 is, how much is a good amount to put in to an investment? Now I have somewhat of a bias for the 10. So 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, so on and so forth. That makes the math very easy. You don't have to choose this number. You can do 50, you can do 20, 25, whatever works for you. I just like the powers of 10 because it makes it very easy if I'm breaking things down by percentages, which is what I like to do. So the smallest amount that is a good amount to put in for me is $10. That allows me to say 10% goes here, 5% goes here, 50% goes here, and it makes the math super easy. Now, as you continue to add money, those numbers are going to be off clearly, right? Because you want to continue to add the money. But here's the thing, that is the most important thing. And that goes to question 3 is, when should you add more to that investment? I suggest that you do it monthly. Personally, as you see me do on public, I do it weekly. So if my magic number is 100, which is what I do on public, if it's 100, that tells me that it's 100. I got 10 stocks. $10 goes to everyone every single week. I don't need to sit there and double check or double think. I know I'm putting in 100. I know I'm splitting it between 10 stocks, or I can just, if I got 12 or 13 stocks, 100 divided by that, it gives you, $9 or $11 or however much it is, but like 9 or less for every stock. It makes it super easy. You don't want to have to do extra math. Now, if you want to do like $500 or $200, the math is going to change, but it's going to be simple. The reason why any amount works is because any amount is bigger than 0. You investing $5 is going to be better than you investing no dollars. End of story. I'll also say this, and I'm going to pull this up, and this is a preview. I'm not really supposed to do this, but this is a preview of one of the slides for my lesson next week as a part of the summit. Again, buildingword.com/summit. You'll want to sign up for that. I just want to show you this, and we had talked about this before. And let me enlarge. Here we go. All right, so this is one of the slides. So if you see me on, I think I present on Monday, then you're getting a sneak peek right now. So even if it's $50, right? I think 10 is the minimum. Any amount counts. But if you were only doing $50 a month from January to November of 2020, I think this was actually tweeted out in November, that's only $550. That's it. $50 a month. That's not a whole lot. $550. That's it. January through November. If I did that, if I had Moderna at this point in time, that's more than $1,800. If I did PayPal back then, $1,200, Tesla, $1,500. That's a really good investment. You have pretty much doubled in every scenario. And that's just $50 a month into one of those. If you did $150, you'd have this, and you add all 3 of those up. But that's the power of investing even with small amounts. So I always like to tell people there is no magic number. And the most important thing, because the third question they ask is like, when do I know when to add more? You know when to add more when it's payday. You know when to add more when it's the first of the month. You know when it's time to add more at the end of the month. That is how I work my process. It doesn't make sense really to try and time it and say, oh, I'm gonna put in more when it hits this part of the chart or when it hits this number. You just want to be consistent and just do what's called dollar cost averaging, which is putting the exact same amount in on a regular basis. If you have a 401k or 403b or any workplace retirement plan, you pretty much do this all the time. You get your salary, it takes out X percent. And you normally don't change that percentage every day, even though your paycheck may or may not change. So if it's 10%, you put it on 10%. Every time you get paid, 10% goes in and in and in and in, and you don't really have to think about it. Your investing should be the same outside of those accounts. So some accounts, they'll pull the money automatically for you. I know Fidelity can do that. I know Cash App will reinvest the money for you. You can do it like a bi-weekly transfer. On Public, I do it myself. I like doing it that way. I love the automation part of it. But I do it on Public. I make it known so that people know that you do have to add money to it on a regular basis. That's how it grows. So if I did $50 in PayPal from January to November, maybe I would have had, what was it, like $65 or $75. Okay. Right. Like, yeah, I made $25, but because I added consistently, I get like $1,200. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. The key though is adding on a consistent basis. If you don't add it on a consistent basis, you're not going to get those compounding returns, because how it works is you put in money, that money made money. If you just leave it there, just kind of slowly floats along. What you want to do is you put in money, that money makes money, you put in more money, the more money that you make makes more money, and it really just kind of compounds and copies itself over and over and over and over and over again. That's how you get rich very quickly, or I'll say over time, because it's not going to happen overnight. So you put in 100, you've got 105. Then you put in another 100, and then your 205, right, becomes, and I'm making numbers up now, 230. Then you put another 100, now you got 330, and that grows to something else. So you really got to put more into it on a regular basis and have that start to multiply. And that's when the money really starts working for you. All right, so that was questions 1 and 2. Let me go back to, 1 and 3. Here's question number 2, is how do you know when is the right time to sell out of investment? There's a few schools of thought. It depends on what type of mind frame you are, what type of investing style that you're in. So for me, there are 2 schools of thought that I use. I use them for very specific purposes. So number 1, I only sell in June and December. So come June 2021, I'll come back, I'll look at my portfolio. You will see me do this at some point in June. Maybe it'll be the first week, maybe it'll be the last week. I haven't really decided yet. But you will see me in public, sit down and sell off the stocks that were not good. The reason why I do that, I think I lean more towards that school of thought for people who are new, is because you want to give the investment time to grow. And usually 6 months is a good enough time to say, look, you had your chance. You did what you're supposed to do, or you didn't. Is there a risk? Yes. Now, my counter argument is you probably shouldn't be investing in something that you think is really going to crash in 6 months. I've seen things, O'Reilly Auto Parts, this is probably my most famous example, where, and Nike as well, but I bought O'Reilly sometime last year. We did a video on it. I don't know if it was September or August or whenever I got it. I didn't get it the normal time I tend to buy stocks. It was terrible up until maybe 6 weeks ago, and now I'm up 8% on that investment. It was just blah, and then it started to take off. But I have not hit my 6-month mark yet. But because I waited, I just kept adding. It's starting to pay off. Adobe is another good example for me. I was down more than 12%. It's trending in the right direction. Now I'm down less than 3. Hopefully by June it gets its act together. If it doesn't, I'm selling it. So Adobe still has to do what it needs to do. But I have a time bound for my long-term stuff. You got 6 months to act right. If you don't do it by then you got to go. And I say, here's what the stock market did, the S&P 500. Did you beat that? Did you not beat that? The answer is no. 99% of the time I'm getting rid of the stock unless it's showing some promise for some reason. So that's the easiest way to do it. The other way to do it is do what's called a stop loss order, which says if it drops to this price and I lose, let's say $10 per share, if I lose $25 per share, then it's going to sell out. That's a good way. I do that for more of my short-term trading. Told you guys I'm in a trade for Goldman Sachs, which is going well, and one for Intel. But I did have a stop loss on it. So for Intel, I think I'm selling Intel. I have a bracket order for Intel. So I bought it at 63. I've got like 15 shares, like $1,000 or so. So I got 15 shares. I bought it at 63. If it hits 70, I'm making my $7 times 17. I'm out. That's my exit point. Okay, so I've already set that in advance. But I think if it dropped down to $61, it was $61, and it would have dropped to 61, I would have sold out and lost $2 per share. So that's a little more complicated. I think that's more for trading. I talk about this in the the investors toolkit. We're actually upgrading some stuff there. I don't think that second stop loss is for everybody, but it is something that you should consider. So what you would do, you have to decide that for yourself. That's the problem. There is no right or wrong way to say you always want to set a stop loss $5 below the current price, because stocks move in different ways. $5 for one stock could be a 50% drop. If you're thinking like a Ford was like $12 the other day. Well, if I set it at $5 or $6 under the share price, so it drops to that level and it protects me, well, that's like a 50% drop for Ford. It may be a 0.01% drop for Amazon, because Amazon is $3 a share. So it's difficult. It is difficult to try and do that. And that's more for traders. If you're trying to get in and out in the short term, you want to check out the Investors Toolkit. I talk a whole lot more about that. But for most people, I think if you want to take more of a step back, you don't want to stress out a whole lot about it, I would kind of sit down and do the time method, which is what I do. So sit down and say 6 months from April 9th, or a whole year from April 9th. You can do that as well and say, come next April, you need to hit this benchmark or no. And that's when you'll know when to sell. All right, so that was the 3 questions I want to go back and review. Number 1, how much is a good amount to actually put into an investment? Any amount works. I like 10. So if I can put $10 into every stock, $10 to every index fund that I can do, and start building from there. The more, the better. The more you put in, the more potential you have to make. So you should be good there. How do you know when it's time to sell an investment? My best thing is either you set a date, either 6 months or a year, and that's when you come back and either get rid of it or let it continue to the next benchmark. I personally like 6 months. You can do a year. Research shows that the past, so 6 to 6. So 6 months in the past, generally, not exactly, will predict the next 6 months for performance. If you're one of the best stocks in the last 6 months, you're probably going to be one of the best stocks in the next 6 months. If you're one of the best stocks in the last year, you are likely to be one of the best stocks in the next year. It is not a 100% guarantee, as you have seen how this year has already played out. All right. Lastly, when's a good time to add more to an investment, to something you've already invested in? I do weekly on public, but I usually suggest monthly or whenever you get paid, which for most people is bi-weekly. All right. So that is it. Make sure you hit the share button. We had 9 shares. I'm trying to get to 10. We can get to 10. We'd be all right. But go ahead, hit the share button so we can go ahead and hit 10 shares. Also, make sure you sign up for the 2021 Investing Summit. You got me, you got Tila, you got the Millennials Next Door, you got Investing Latina, you got Andre. I already think I said Andre already. There are 8 of us. I am one of them. And these are some of the people that are the best in the game. If you're looking for option trading, I keep throwing Tila out there. If you're looking for cannabis investing, Courtney is the expert there. I don't know what her session is on off the top of my head, but I'm going to show you how to invest like a champion. So you can go from confused to confident. So I'll be showing you a little bit of what you just saw, but what are the tools I use to avoid terrible stocks? What are some things that millionaire investors tend to do? I'm going to share my 7 secrets to investing success. I'm really excited to roll that out. It is a really important thing for me because I've studied millionaires like up close in my career as a financial advisor. And it is also something I worked into the new book, which you will be learning and hearing a whole lot more about next week. I think pre-orders should start on the 15th if everything goes well. All right, that's it for me. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.